In this video, we're going to look into the Weeknd's ever-evolving sound by making 3 beats, each inspired by one of his last 3 studio albums. In 2016, the Weeknd released his highly anticipated album, Starboy. This album showed a more melodic side to Abel's music. An example of this is on the song True Colors, which is based around a melodic piano melody. However, the key to this song is the drums. The bounce of the drums creates a pocket for the piano, so this is where I started. And now that we have that down, we can put in our piano melody. Another key element of True Colors is the vocal chops scattered throughout. It gives a pop flavor to the song, which makes sense because the producers Benny Blanco and Cashmere Cat are well known for that sound. However, the vocals that inspired me the most are from Nothing Without You. You can hear these pulsing ambient vocals in the background that I tried to replicate with these spliced vocals. Now what ties this whole beat together is the bass line. Now we can't mention Starboy without taking some inspiration from Daft Punk. They produced and featured on both the title track and I Feel It Coming, which have a combined total of over 3 billion streams. An element that appears on both of these songs is a melodic, percussive, plucky synth sound. Daft Punk are famous for using a Juno 106, so I opened up Arturio's Juno VST and laid this down. And finally, to add one more element to the beat, I took the choir from All I Know as inspiration for the intro section. I added another much heavier synth bass underneath and a distorted tom to give us this final beat. Four years later, The Weeknd released After Hours, a much darker album than its predecessor. The production varies from track to track, giving us a lot to learn from. A standout song for me was the cold, wintry, synth-based Snow Child. There are some sad melodic chords being played by a soft synth that almost sounds like an organ. And over that is a top line melody adding to the depth of the beat. You'll notice both the chord progression and the counter melody are both going down the scale. This is an easy way to create a sad feeling in your music. After taking inspiration for the basis of our beat from Snow Child, I wanted to take an element for another sad melodic song, Escape from LA. As soon as it begins, you hear an electric guitar that then reverses when the beat drops. So for our beat, I added a reverse guitar copying the same chords as the main synth, and then I added a Valhalla delay with the pitch mode selected to give it some more high-end texture. The Weeknd collaborated with Metro Boomin numerous times on this album. Metro had his hands on Heartless, Faith, Until I Bleed Out, and once again, Escape from LA. So to start off the bounce, I laid down this kick and snare pattern. For the only other drum element, I did this hi-hat with a phaser to give it a little bit more texture. Whilst the basis of most of the Weeknd's beats are very simple, there are always lots of ear candy elements to add some flavor, so I added this one note to replicate that. And the final element is this high-pitched organ to contrast the lower synth keys. You can hear an organ on the outro track until I bleed out. So now we have all the elements we need to structure the beat. I used Escape from LA as inspiration for the intro by half-timing the drums, the chords, and the textural siren sound. This is what the final beat sounds like. A big part of making these R&B chord progressions is having good music theory knowledge, and that's where today's sponsor, Skillshare, comes in. Skillshare is an online community with thousands of classes for anyone who wants to learn new skills or express their creativity. So if you guys want to improve on your music theory, there's classes available regardless of what level you're at. I've been using the Music Theory 101 for Guitar course by Henry Olsen. This has helped me play better progressions on the guitar. You don't just have to stick to music, you could learn graphic design if you want to make the artwork for your next sample pack, or learn video editing if you want to start making YouTube videos and creating content. All the videos on Skillshare are ad-free, and there's new classes every week, so you'll never run out of things to learn. The first 1,000 people to join Skillshare using my link will get a 1-month free trial. But yeah, let's get back into the video. Finally, we have the Weeknd's latest album, Dawn FM. After the huge success of his now diamond single, Blinding Lights, Abel decided to make an entire album based around this 1980s synth pop sound. I'm going to show you guys how to very easily sound design a synth pad for these types of beats, something like this. We have a saw wave and a square wave with the mix set to around 70% in favor of the saw. Choosing two different waveforms and detuning one of them is a major key to helping you get a really big sound. Next, I added some effects, starting with a chorus, then a reverb, and finally an overdrive. Finally, the really cool part of the sound designing process is the modulation. I started off by assigning the low pass cutoff to LFO2, then I set the sync rate to quarter notes, and most importantly, I set the cycle button to single. I then assigned LFO3 to the reverb dry wet knob. This time it's set to cycle mode, as I wanted to use it as an interesting way to fill the space in between chords. Next, I took inspiration from the 5th track on the project, Sacrifice. There's an ambient, pulsing synth in the background that sits perfectly behind the main guitar. A track that doesn't necessarily fit the typical synth pop sound is Here We Go Again, featuring Tyler the Creator. It's based entirely around a synth bass, a synth electric piano, and a more realistic sounding electric piano. The latter helps add some really nice high-end texture, so I wanted to recreate this in our beat. At this point, I wanted to start on the drums so we could get the groove going. After that, I went for the kick because this is going to dictate the bounce of your track. Next, we have 2 snares. And finally, I've added 2 basses. Peace.